On New at 10 in Anderson County, the 5 known victims of racial terror lynching are being remembered through a statue. It's part of an initiative in Anderson that was created in 2020. Fox Carolina's Zach Perlutsky is in Pendleton, where the statue was unveiled in this new exhibit.
This allows us to say their names, to acknowledge who they were, and to now as a community move on beyond those instances of racial terror lynching.
This piece of art created by Herman Keith is heavy, weighing over 2,000 pounds. He wanted it that way because it deals with a heavy subject.
It's just not to make anyone experience a lynching, but just to taste it, just to gain just a little bit of understanding so that we better ourselves as human beings.
5 names, jars filled with dirt in the places they were killed, sitting on top of a pile of burnt wood. Keith spent hours researching lynchings to make this work as authentic as he could.
These are men, women, and children whose potential was never realized.
The sculpture, commissioned by the Anderson Area Remembrance and Reconciliation Initiative, will travel across Anderson County, for now staying in Pendleton.
We've had a violent history as a country, and the South is a part of that, and healing has to take place.
It took more than 1 year to create the statue. All that time for a reaction and a conversation.
Convey an emotion or to capture an emotion, a fleeting emotion, because they don't last long, but a fleeting emotion, and kind of capture it so that we all can reflect.
The most important thing is that there are people who will have the conversation, whether they like it or not.
This sculpture will be at the Pendleton Library through the end of May, and over the next 3 months there will be several educational events centered around this piece of art. For now, reporting in Pendleton, Zach Perlutsky, Fox Carolina News.
It's a movie breaking records. The star of the film Black Panther comes from Anderson. Chadwick Boseman opened up about how he experienced racism in the past and present in his hometown.
Now, he was quoted in an interview as saying, quote, "When I was shooting Black Panther in Atlanta, I used to drive back on off days to go see my family in Anderson, and I would see the Klan holding rallies in a Walmart car park." End quote.
Now, a day after his comment was published, Boseman tweeted that he was misquoted. He said the event he spoke of happened during the filming of Captain America in 2015, after the mass shooting at the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston. He said the rally he talked about was exacerbated by those current events and is a representation of a portion of white citizenship, not a whole.
Well, with the movie breaking records, some hope it will bring about a change in this country. WYFF News 4's Mandy Gaither has that story.
Studio estimates say Black Panther is still performing as one of the top blockbusters of all time, and it has people talking.
There's something else at play.
At Clemson University, a discussion like no other.
I did not want to miss out on this opportunity to take advantage of the excitement about Africa and African Americans that has been generated by this movie.
Black Panther, a film breaking records and barriers.
People who look like me have something to look to now. And I think that's my favorite part of this movie, like just watching like little kids get so excited about a superhero that looks like them. And at least in my lifetime, we never really had that before, at least not to this scale.
When this movie came out, it felt more empowering. You felt better when you walked out. You came in with your chest maybe low, but now you can walk with your chest high because we finally see black people in royalty.
This movie is just a big step to having these open, uncomfortable conversations that are going to change our country.
Because this movie is bringing up a lot of things that happened within.
A movie appealing to the masses.
What struck me the most about the film was the notion of history and can you go home again, and what it means to be free.
The hope here, more discussions like this one.
This film, only the 4th to earn $100 million in its second weekend, now heading into its 3rd weekend. Mandy Gaither, WYFF News 4.
South Carolina, I'm thinking about South Carolina, I'm nervous about it. South Carolina, have a mom in it. South Carolina, woman down in it. South Carolina, put my head in it. South Carolina, orange bird in it. South Carolina, something in it. South Carolina.
Chadwick Boseman. Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Wednesday, April 29, 2026. So I have been told. We should be here tomorrow. That's Thursday, April 30. Neutralizing Workplace Racism, weekly segment. Dial in, email, especially if you have suggestions, tips for folks who are dealing with wage theft, false accusations, any number of difficulties that non-white people experience in the workplace. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then we'll be here on Friday for the weekly Catherine Massey Book Club, also 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Third session on Michelle Alexander, New Jim Crow. Fourth worst book ever. Ugh. Another day for that. And then our counter-racist weekly review on Saturday. So every day until the end of the week on our counter-racist grind. All of that said, the audio that we heard at the beginning, Gil Scott-Heron in the background, South Carolina. And then we heard about the, I guess, memorial to acknowledge some of the victims of lynching and white supremacy racism in Anderson, South Carolina specifically. And they were talking about some of the efforts deliberately to make these monuments heavy because they're dealing with heavy subject matter, racism, and racial terrorism against black people specifically. And they said the importance of getting some of these conversations started and people discussing these issues and such. There's been lots of discussion, I reckon. The second installment, they had the late Chadwick Boseman. And I did not know that he grew up in the South Carolina area, but they were talking about Chadwick Boseman a few years back, and I guess they did an interview where he talked about some of the different experiences that he had in South Carolina, and then being back in South Carolina to see Marvel's, or to film, Marvel's Black Panther, and being close enough to go back and visit. And I guess this was closer to, time-wise, that would match up, him being close enough to go back and visit South Carolina shortly after the Mother Emanuel shooting in the summer of 2015. And I mean, that is staggering. And particularly, you just had 9 black people killed in a church. One of them, a state senator, elected official. And then you see a Klan rally. Like, what? Man, I don't know if I'd be visiting too much. Like, I'm going to have to, they didn't have Zoom back then. Like, I don't know. We're going to have to text or something. I don't, that would mess my vacation up. It's supposed to be my off day. Like, man, I'm trying to unwind and y'all got the Klan. Not that they don't have the Klan in Georgia. I'm not. Anyway, but those were two, and important for context. The region that we are discussing today, South Carolina, a region that we have discussed frequently. Hey, we did spend quite a bit of time discussing the shooting in 2015, the hamburger afterwards, forgiveness, all of that. In fact, prompted us to read Pitchfork Ben Tillman, The Reconstruction of White Supremacy in South Carolina. In fact, he is one of them white dudes right up there with J. Strom Thurmond. Got a statue in South Carolina. J. Marion Sims, talk about black maternal health, black maternal mortality rates. Hey, J. Marion Sims is in that discussion all the time. They did finally take his statue down in Central Park. I think it's still there in South Carolina. But there are many white people who are revered, worshipped in South Carolina. Pitchfork Ben Tillman is in that number. Got his statue and all, but he is a co-founder of Clemson University, and one of his main passions was making sure that black people did not have access to Clemson or really public education throughout the state of South Carolina. He was going to be a candidate for president as well. Former South Carolina governor, legendary figure, race soldier. But lots of context for the region that we are discussing today, and especially for black children. I say all the time, I do not have children. Nothing really to add on that, just making sure that Gus T is not on here giving out suggestions or talking as though I know it all or really anything about parenting, because I do not. I do not have children. I've said for years that is the toughest job in the world, bar none. Fire department, police department, anything you can think of. Like, no way. Being a black parent in the system of white supremacy racism. Whew. Anyway, probably a distant second as well. All of that said, one of our listeners, who is also a black parent, posted on our cows, or one of our cows, social media pages, and they posted about a black parent and the difficulties that they were having with their black child at school, like serious medical emergency, and negligent that, hey, I don't have children, I don't live in South Carolina, so I didn't get to see all of the parties involved in this, what shall I say, tragic episode. Not fatal, but certainly tragic. I didn't see all the parties involved, so I don't know. South Carolina has a lot of black people, so that's what we're doing, investigating so that we can get more details. But I do know in the system of white supremacy racism, it is very, very common. Sound like even Chadwick Boseman, boy, I can tell you about being black and growing up in South Carolina. How much time we got? Because I got to get back on the studio, but how much time we got? It seemed like everybody got some story. George Stingley seemed like we should bring him George Stingley seemed like we should bring him up as well. Hard being a black child in South Carolina. Hard being a black child in South Carolina. Our guest for today, I guess, hard being a black parent in South Carolina as well. Our guest for today's broadcast, a black parent in South Carolina, courageous enough to post and speak. Honestly, I talk about that sort of thing too. That is not the sort of thing that you really boast, and I am so proud, and let me tell everybody, and I can't wait to talk about. But she talked about it publicly, what happened to her child, and letting other parents know, something to think about so that you can keep your child safe. Really, that's what I said. This whole broadcast is about, for black parents in particular, things to think about, maybe even suggestions, ways to keep your child safe if you're sending them off to school in the system of white supremacy. Our guest for the evening, joining us live from South Carolina, an infuriated black mother. I want to make sure, I don't want to be giving out victims' names if they want to keep some anonymity, or we'll see. Our infuriated black mother, are you with us, ma'am?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Greetings. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of your Wednesday evening. Do you want to keep your anonymity? Do you want to be identified?
I'm okay with sharing my name, just not my daughter's.
Got it. We'll do that. Joining us live from South Carolina, Miss Allen, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are super excited. Well, I won't say excited, but well, I am excited. I'm always excited to learn, but I mean, very tragic circumstances, and wish it could have been better circumstances for you and all involved. But thank you again for your time and energy. Anything that you would like to share about you, I think that would be important for the context of this story, what you do professionally, or anything else that you want to share before we get started?
Yes, I will share that I've been a critical care nurse for over 12 years at this point. So that played a lot in helping my daughter in this incident and it not becoming fatal.
Absolutely important, for sure. one for folks who've not seen you, you have lots of postings online and such using social media constructively. You are classified as a black female, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. With your nursing program, I guess before we get to your daughter, was that a problem for you at any point going through your nursing career?
Very much so, I would say. There are patients refusing care. I remember one patient just flat out telling me, asking, did I have my gloves on? I'm like, yeah. He was like, good, because I don't want your black to wipe off on me. And that was during nursing school. And I just, I mean, it was wild. Like, I was taken aback. Like, did he really just say that? I'm looking at my classmate, and they're stunned as well. I'm like, wow, this is what I have to look forward to.
Well,
yeah.
That would certainly qualify as racism, I think. I don't know, when you go through the training, and I know they don't just let anybody go in there and get the nurse's outfit and start looking after patients, do they kind of prepare you, like, this type of thing might happen? Don't be shocked. Do they kind of tell you?
In nursing school, no, but fellow nurses that I already knew, they told me to be aware and to have tough skin and have a backbone because it's going to happen.
Well, all righty. Got it. Racism, experienced it as a nurse and already prepared to deal with this sort of thing. So I guess to get to the incident that happened with your daughter. Now, from what I read, she's in elementary school. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. She's in the 3rd grade.
Ooh. That is so young. How old is your daughter?
She is 9. When the incident happened, she was 8.
Wow. Okay. I guess we'll rewind. It seemed like this started with maybe a really innocent exchange of something small to eat, something trivial, and you can kind of pick up and tell us what happened?
Yes. She was at lunch in class with her classmates, and her classmate offered her a piece of chocolate, in which I've always taught my kids don't share things because just for as cleanliness as far as other people's homes, but it was a piece of chocolate, so my daughter obliged. She ate the chocolate during lunch, went to recess, and her stomach started hurting really bad. So she told her teacher, and her teacher sent her to the nurse, and she went to the nurse. The nurse said she looked her over. She wasn't, and said she didn't have a fever, and she was not vomiting, so she sent her back to class. She went back to class. Her teacher was like, no, something is wrong with her. And she sent her back to the nurse, accompanied with a classmate, because my daughter was starting to have issues speaking. So the classmate was sent to speak for her, and the classmate was told to tell the nurse, call her mom now. And I spoke to this classmate and the parent because they're a neighbor of ours, and the little girl said she was afraid of speaking to an adult in that manner, but she did what her teacher told her to say. And the nurse looked at them both, didn't examine Zayla this time. Didn't examine my daughter this time, and sent them both to class. At this point, when they both returned to class, the teacher took matters in her own hands because she knew something was wrong. Like, Zayla Lee was steadily, I'm still saying my daughter's name, she's steadily declining, and so the teacher decided to call me from her personal cell phone, going above the nurse's head. And she called me, and she was like, hey, something's wrong. Like, I don't know what's wrong, but can you get to the school? Her teacher also knows that I'm a nurse. I'm like, sure, of course. So I get to the school in about 5 minutes or so because we don't live far. And I'm in the front office speaking with the nurse that had to call down to the classroom to call for my child. And the secretary was like, hey, she doesn't look right. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, the teacher said the same thing. And so I'm just having a casual conversation with the secretary, and the principal walks into the office at the same time my daughter walks in from the opposite direction. And I'm looking at the principal, but I hear something. I'm like, oh my God, who's breathing like that? It's bad. Like, in a hospital setting, like, you need to tend to this patient first. And I turn around, and it's my daughter. She's wheezing, like, audibly. Like, you don't even need a stethoscope to wheezing. And when I look at her, her eyes are almost closed from being so swollen. And I probably said some choice words in the moment, but I panicked and I snatched her up and I ran out of the school because we have a urgent care. It's a kid's urgent care, like less than a mile away from the school. And I'm like, I know I can get her there in time because like if I call the ambulance, they're going to have to come to the school and the school already mishandled her at this point. I'm like, I need to get her out of this place. So I sped to kids care and get out the car. I'm running her in the building. And of course, people see me running with the kid. They're already looking, and then they call the phone, like I think it was the patient care tech. She looked at her, and she got on the phone, and the doctor and nurse came rushing out, and they grabbed my child, and they ran into the back. And when I got to the back, they had her hooked up to everything. They're administering epinephrine, Solumedrol, Benadryl. They're placing the IV. She's on oxygen. She's on a heart monitor. Like, she's connected to all the emergent medical equipment that is needed because she's having an anaphylactic response, which is an emergency. And once I see she's settled, like, I just burst into tears, and the doctor stopped tending to my child to tend to me because I was about to pass out. It's like I forgot all my nursing skills. Like, I was just a mom at that point. And he was asking me what happened, and I told him. He was like, oh, my God, like, why didn't they give her epi at school? And I was like, that's what I can't understand. Like, why did they dismiss all of the symptoms that my daughter had? Why did they dismiss her twice? Like, she came up there basically begging. She had to come with a friend to beg for help, and the nurse still denied treatment to my child. And so kids care got her stable. They put us on the ambulance to take us over to the emergency department so they could watch her and make sure symptoms didn't rebound. She received some, I think she received a breathing treatment, and they gave her one more medication at the emergency department, I can't recall right now, just to monitor to make sure symptoms didn't rebound. The following morning, my husband and myself went to school, and I guess, I don't know, maybe because the incident happened the day prior, or they just knew that we were coming, but they had the director of nursing, they had the nursing services coordinator on site, and so we had a meeting, impromptu meeting with the administration, and that substitute school nurse was still there the following day, even after this incident. That nurse, she read her notes from the day prior regarding my daughter, and she just kept saying my daughter didn't look like that to her. My daughter didn't look like that to her. And I said, okay, even if she didn't, she was sent back to you a second time requesting that you call her mother. Why did you choose not to call her mother? I was like, you were very negligent, you were incompetent, and my child could have died because of your negligence. And she just stared and looked at me blank-faced. My husband, he did not keep his cool, but I understand, like, we almost lost our child the day prior, so it was warranted. And the principal and the nursing service director came to the conclusion that my daughter's teacher should have sent her to the office with a note stating that she should call Zaylee's mom. I mean, she should call my daughter's mom versus the other attempts. They pointed the finger at my child's teacher versus the nurse that should be able to recognize this symptom, because in nursing school, like, one of the nursing 101s is ABCs, airway, breathing, and circulation. My daughter's breathing was becoming occluded, and her breathing was loud and labored. So, like, get the child help. So, I don't know, but my lawyer sent a demand for a settlement. The school denied my claim and stated that they did everything that they were supposed to in this incident. And so, of course, we're pushing it further. So we might wind up in court for this. But in South Carolina, I don't know about other states, they have the SAVE Act, which states that schools have EpiPens for children and adults on site, and they are to be administered to anybody on school property exhibiting said symptoms. And I think it's about 8 symptoms listed on that act, which is also on Anderson District 5's website. And out of those 8 symptoms, my daughter had 5, and nobody treated her. Everybody failed her that day, besides her teacher that called to get help.
Wow. Context of white supremacy. Seems like it doesn't matter what the setting is, doesn't really matter what the geographic location is. For black people, breathing is always a problem.
Yes. And when I made my post on Facebook, once I found out that the district denied my claim, I went public about it, and I made a post on Facebook that has been shared over 1,000 times. Reading the comments on various people sharing the post, the consensus, the non-black people commenting, they were more upset about me referencing that Black Maternal Health Week was the week prior that I posted, and I mentioned how there are disparities in health care for African American women due to in the maternal health world. But I was stating that my daughter, she's a child, like it didn't have to do anything to do with maternal health, but she is a black female that her symptoms were dismissed. So in a way, it did correlate. But they were more upset that I quote unquote pulled the race card in this issue versus my child possibly dying because the school failed to help her.
Well, let's ask this, the great Johnny Cochran. Do you think this situation would have been the same actions would have been taken for your daughter at this elementary school if she were white?
As much as I would love to give them grace, and in the situation I'm not, I feel like if she had been of fair skin, they would have acted more promptly and would have rendered care to her per their protocol.
Let's see. Before I have specific questions about some of the ways people conducted themselves, but I guess for one, with your daughter, is she doing okay now? She recovered and back to being okay. Bravo.
Definitely. Thank you.
Bravo.
I'm forever grateful.
Everybody, I'm sure. Bravo. Was it, I don't know, like it kind of wigged me out. Like, do we think this was the chocolate? Was that what this was?
Yes, it was. It was a piece of Dubai chocolate. We've later, her pediatrician referred us to an allergy specialist, and she's been allergy tested and everything since. She's allergic to pistachios, and that was what was inside of that Dubai chocolate. But prior to this incident, she had no known allergies.
Wow, that is
so
amazing.
We had no idea. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you now, she is not sharing anything with anybody anymore. Her grandmother was making a red velvet cake and started putting walnuts on it, and she called me and she was like, "Hey, you got to come get me. Grandma put nuts on this." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm on the way."
Lesson learned.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. Whew, got that all out of the way. Chocolate is the culprit, or the pistachios, being precise about things. The pistachios. Okay. I guess were you able to get a copy of the nurse's notes from what she observed, what she did that day?
No, I did not get a copy, but my lawyer he's getting all of that stuff together for me.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Did you actually call the substitute nurse in the meeting subsequently negligent and incompetent?
I call her negligent. My husband called her incompetent and some other choice words. Yes.
Wow. I just want to be explicit for the record. I do not have a problem with that at all. It seems like from what you told, all of that would be correct and deserved. So I don't have a problem with that at all. Just, wow. I mean, whew, that. I know sometimes people read the show like,
graduated. I asked her what school did she go to. I asked her what specialties had she worked in, because I couldn't wrap my head around how she didn't recognize the signs and symptoms of even an allergic reaction, let alone an anaphylactic. Like, my child was like getting close to death. Like, her airway was closing. We were in dire need of medical treatment, and she just sent her back to class.
Wow. I do not have a problem. You or your husband, I do not have a problem at all. I think it is absolutely correct what you all said. True, deserve it. Incompetent, negligent, and probably a few other choice words as well. I even had to shake my head. Like, I thought maybe I didn't hear it correctly, but I thought she said the teacher was the one who is not a trained medical official, I don't think, but whatever. The teacher is the one who looked at the child and said, oh man, she does not look good. She went to the nurse and, well, I'm going to call anyway. And she called private, got on her personal phone and called. Like, I thought that was what happened. Like, dang, she went above and beyond the call of duty. As it is your fault. You should have sent her to.
Most definitely. And she is now afraid of her job. Like, she might get in trouble with her position going above the nurse in this situation. So that's another situation that we're dealing with. And I have told her that we will back her 1,000% with this, because without her calling, like, I might not have my child today.
I am dumbfounded. Wow. What? I thought she was the hero in this, like, teacher of the month. Like,
in my book, yes, but in theirs, the principal stated that he was going to make an example of this, and so we still don't know exactly what that means. But as far as saying that she should have sent my child with a note, and I asked him, I was like, so a child or any person with their throat actively closed and carrying a note by themselves, if they went down in the hallway with nobody around, how long would it have taken for somebody to find them? And now they have an anoxic brain bleed, anoxic brain injury. And he just sat there. I'm like, yeah. So no, a note wouldn't have sufficed either.
I am speechless. Wow.
So this has been an ordeal going on since January.
Wow. Well, I said, woo. What did I say? The toughest job in the world. Not even close. Black parent.
I'm telling you, there's so many different adversities you have to fight through and teach your child to work through as well. And they're just innocent, and they're like, why do I have to carry myself this way? You just have to.
Wow. I'm trying to wrap my brain computer around all of this. Like, one, the justification, or even before I get to justification. So you did tell us that we had a substitute nurse. Now, that is kind of a new one for me. I will confess, I don't remember spending a whole lot of time in the nurse's office, so I guess maybe they did have substitute nurses, and I just didn't go enough to be aware of this, but that was kind of a new one for me. Does that make a difference, you think, if this person is not really here very often, and maybe they aren't as familiar with the protocol and such? Does that maybe give a little grace since it's a substitute?
I tried to give that grace. I thought about this situation from every different aspect. I tried, but I'm like, being that you don't know this kid and they came to your office twice within like a 30-minute period, just call their mom. Like, even if the kid is annoying you, call their mom, call their dad, so the parent can make the decision. It's not your decision. Like, and even if my child, she's not a kid to like come to the nurse's office like wanting to go home or anything like that. She absolutely loves school. But if it was a kid that just wants to go home, you don't know what they're dealing with mentally. If they want to call their parent and go home, you let them. So I give her no grace. And if you signed up to do this substitute position, you should know the protocols.
Facts. I would give, if this was like geometry You don't know the Pythagorean theorem. All right, whatever. That's not that big a deal. But the nurse's office is a little different. Like, that is kind of important. You should know what you're doing if you're going to hang out.
Working in critical care, when we're intubating a patient to open their airway, if I don't push the medications in the right order, there's no need to open their airway. I've already sent them to wherever they're going. Like, I have to know what I'm doing.
Important, very important. I guess the other component, so she's, people, I guess students, maybe they lie and they're just trying to pull one over on us so they can go play hooky and go play the video games and mess around in the town. And I have to pause on that because I said, wow, I could have sworn she said this was elementary school. Now, if we were talking 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, high school, maybe even middle school, like, oh yeah, like, get me out of here. Like, we got a billion other things to do than hang out here all day. At 8 and 9, like, that seems kind of scary. Like, we can't drive.
That was my husband's whole standpoint. He was like, even if she wanted to go home, she couldn't get home without her parent coming. So he absolutely gave her no grace. Like, she barely got a word in speaking with him. He was livid. He was livid. Like, I'm like holding his arm, like, I need you to calm down. If he looked at me and gave me the eye, I'm like, all right, go ahead, do your thing.
I'm with you. I'm with both of you. I'm with both. Infuriated. Black mother, infuriated. Black for absolute. And this, you both should be. Like, oh my God. Like, she could be dead. This could have been totally fatal and unnecessarily fatal in every way.
She's a very intelligent young lady, and when we got home that night, she was like, Mom, could I have died? And I couldn't lie to her. I was like, yes, ma'am, you could have, because I needed her to know the severity of consuming food that she doesn't even know what's all in it. And now that we do know specifically what she can't have, like, she's very cautious. Like, we're not bringing nuts in the house, and if you have nuts at the house, she's leaving. So, but yeah, she's asked us multiple times. Like, I'll say we're not at daily now, maybe weekly or bi-weekly. Like, it'll pop back in her mind, and we'll have to revisit and talk about it again. But now she wears her allergy bracelet to make sure people know, and she asks like, "Hey, what's in it?" before she starts eating. But she's a very intelligent young lady.
Man, is the substitute nurse here the incompetent, negligent substitute nurse here? Is this a white woman or a non-white female?
Yes, she is. She's a white woman. And I looked her up on the nurse registry, license registry, and when the incident happened, and now that I'm looking for her, I cannot find her. Because that was the one thing that I told my husband. I said, I want her license in my pocket, but I just need to know for sure. With my own research, I can't find it anymore, but I'm going to wait till my lawyer confirms. But yeah, I don't want her around anybody else's kids, white, black, purple, pink. Like, she's a liability.
Amen. Wow. Do you think she might have been practicing racism against your daughter and just saying, hey, she's just trying to lie so she can get out of school and go do whatever?
I've prayed long and hard on that question. I don't want to say that she did, but I can't 100% say no, that didn't have a factor in her decision of sending my daughter back to class. But the classmate that came to the office with her was a white young lady coming to speak for my child because she was having difficulty speaking, but that didn't even help. She sent them both back to class. So I don't know if she was just having a bad day or I don't know, but she chose the wrong child to play Russian roulette with.
Context of White Supremacy. Wow. Lee, did you, man, when you explain, I guess when you debrief, because you said your daughter, she's super intelligent. She sounds that way. She's asking questions, logical questions, so she can understand, what happened with all this. When you were telling her, did you tell her, hey, I don't know. I'm praying about this. I'm still thinking about it myself. Racism could have been a factor. I don't know. Did you explain that to her as well?
I did. I teach Black history all year long. So we talked about that, and that was a question from my daughter's mouth that I didn't pour into her, but she was like, Mom, did she not help me because I was Black?
Whoa.
And I had to take a moment before I answered that question because it can go more than two different ways on that, because I don't want to tarnish her view on everybody, but I want her to keep her eyes open for when that is an issue and know how to carry herself in that moment when her race is playing a major factor. So I did tell her I couldn't speak for that lady because I'm not inside of her head, but some people do think like that, and they do dismiss you and your symptoms and your concerns and your complaints because of how you look. Like, there are statistics showing that other people think Black people don't feel pain. Like, there are documents that has happened over history for years and years and years. So she had a valid question. I don't know if I fully answered that for her. We might have to revisit that later now that I think about that again. But yeah, she did ask.
Wow. She asked, she's in elementary school, her daughter. She said she asked. I did not come and try and tell her, now you are a victim of racism, and that's not how this. She said her daughter asked, Mom, was racism a fact? She did this because I'm Black, maybe?
She said, did she not help me because I'm Black? Those were her words.
Genius. And Mom was courageous enough to answer honestly, and even she just told us, she said, man, now that I'm thinking about that, we might have to talk about see, A+, and that's hard too. That's the part that say what I said again. The hardest job in the world. Not even close. Way distant, number 2. Whatever that is way, way distant. That is a big part of it. Like, I do not envy you for that at all, but wow, that is genius daughter, though. I will say that. Like, wow.
Thank you.
Let's see, with as a nurse, well, I guess, how do you think, that's why I'm glad you explained it when we first started, that you, being a nurse yourself, how do you think this situation would have differed if you were a lawyer, just another profession other than something in healthcare?
I don't know. I'm a night shift nurse, so I could have been busy, and a lawyer's work during normal people hours. I would say that lawyer could have been busy and not answering his phone at that time. Like, I was off that day, so I was off and available to answer my phone, to be able to come help my daughter. And I don't know. I just feel like everybody should know the basics, even at like CPR, or just be able to recognize the signs and symptoms of somebody not being able to breathe. I think that's pretty common sense to me, but then again, I've been in healthcare for like almost 20 years, so what's coming to me isn't coming to others, but it should be coming to another nurse. I don't know. I just thinking about how things could have went differently. I really don't like to visit that because it hurts. But yeah, everything was in place. Her teacher was in place. I was off that day. Everything was in place to make sure that my daughter could still be here today, and I'm grateful.
Amen. Context.
And,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
With speaking with my lawyer, like, he is stating like they're going to, like, the school denied my claim because they said they didn't cause the issue, which is true. My daughter caused the issue by accepting the candy from the friend. But my lawyer, he's having to stay on the line of negligence because of nobody provided my child care, and that's what he's staying on. And I'm just like, how did the school say they did what they should have done? And I printed out phone records showing that nobody from the school called me that day to let me know my daughter was in danger or anything. And I'm just baffled at how they're not showing accountability in this situation.
Context of white. That also, it would, unless this child had like a history of every other week or something, they got a new ailment and, oh, I poked my finger and I got to go. Like, it would have to be all the time. Little Jimmy is just begging to go home, and every other day, little Jane, it would have to be something like that. Like, I cannot imagine, like, a white child, white parents, little Jane says, I don't feel well. Like, you can tough it out. Get back in there. And she, like, what? Like, what kind? That is baffling to me. Especially, like I said, the child does not have a record of doing this all the time. Like, come on, get out of here.
The most she's ever came because she scraped her knee playing at recess or something. But as far as being sick, I can't recall a day that she went to the nurse for being sick.
Context of white supremacy. I actually did have Black Maternal Health Week in my notes. I thought it was relevant because I did just see that in the news, and I would think moms, period, even if they have older children, would still, oh, that's relevant to me and that's important, want to support Black people, period, support that, want healthy children, right, that's great. Did you say that the commenters, there was the white commenters or non-white commenters, or you couldn't really just some of the commenters, period, were upset about you linking that?
The non-white commenters were upset that I made references to race in this situation, and I'm just like, and it was one comment that a white lady, because I didn't respond to any of them, but I did love her response. She was like, well, it was a white lady letting the other white people know that they are not informed, but there are statistics based by scientific journals that has documented this for hundreds of years, that there are disparities in healthcare towards African Americans, especially African American females. And I was like, thank you, white lady. But she made it broad to them. But a lot of people were like, why did you bring race into this? I was caring about this post until you pulled the race card. And I'm just like, whatever. Like, I can mention anything that I want to in my post. And if I felt like it was relevant, it was relevant.
Her elementary school daughter, who could have died here, she thought it was relevant. And even that, I keep saying J. Marion Sims, he has a statue in South Carolina for experimenting on Black people that white people won't take down.
Will not. It's sickening.
That right there is we know Black people are not treated like white patients. When you say you're sick, and J. Marion Sims, he would experiment on them without anesthesia. Black people don't feel pain. This is like, for years, this is like one of our worshipped citizens in South Carolina and beyond, because he had statues across the continent. But like, this is long established for hundreds of years, and it's tons of books. It's not even, you made that up. That's AI slop. It's tons of published books, some of them old, some of them newer, long time. Like, this is not even anything to debate, just the latest. And they even talk about this during football season all the time in terms of all the little, but Clemson probably, they go and get brain damage playing for the Tigers. When you went back the next day after your daughter recovered, thank goodness, everything, and we're trying to go back to investigate why this happened or why she didn't get adequate care at the school, did their tone change at all once they recognized that, they are not just, well, I guess the dad is angry, but you specifically, she is not just an angry mom, she is an angry medical professional.
The substitute nurse had the most poker face I have ever seen in my life, and that really bothered me. Like, her face was straight the entire time. And I was like, do you realize that my child could have died yesterday? And she was like, I apologize. And everything was just dry. And I just couldn't wrap my head around that. I was like, she's so, like, nonchalant. She's unconcerned about this matter. Like, she would rather be somewhere else than in this room right now. Like, I felt like she genuinely did not care about the situation that we were bringing to her. The principal, I really love this principal. He was my older child's principal years back, and now he's my daughter's principal. And I could tell he wanted to care, but I know he has to protect the brand. He has to protect his job, but I don't know. Mm-mm. They were on one accord, and they were sticking to it.
They have to pay out a whole lot of money in a settlement. They might lose a job. Who knows? Got to be cautious about this thing. When you say the substitute nurse, so you said white woman, which she's got this poker face. Now you're in the medical profession, so is this a part of the training? Like, hey, we don't want no malpractice, so hey, stone face, you don't go in and admit culpability. You just, these are the facts. These are my notes. Was it that sort of presentation, or was it more oh, your daughter could have died? Yeah, we're missing Netflix for this. Like, really? Was it more just that I don't care?
I couldn't read it. I could not read it. I feel like I'm pretty good at reading people, but hers I could not read because in my personal experience, being in the critical care, I've lost a lot of patience. Mm-hmm. I can't hold my face when the family's sitting there crying about their loved one. Like, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm crying with that family member. I cannot hold my emotions as well as this woman did, if she even had emotions. So I couldn't read her. I couldn't read her.
That is fascinating. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor, but if a child could have died, and they're raising serious questions, and the child who could have died, her parents think I was negligent in how I functioned. Man.
Looking at us straight, she looked at me straight in the eyes. She made eye contact, so whatever that means for her.
Wow. Context of, and for this, just for the school context, this is South Carolina, Anderson County. Is this 5. Like, I'm sorry, District 5. Is this like a majority black school, majority white school? Like, is it half-half? Like, can you give us an idea?
This school is majority white.
Okay.
And this elementary, I'm pretty sure for the last at least 2 to 3 years have been considered the #1 elementary school in the district.
Wow. Impressive. Okay. Majority white. Is there like a substantial black population of students, or not too many?
I would say every year there hasn't, I'd say this year there are 3 African American kids in her class, including her, but that's typically been the max, about 3.
Wow. Whoa. Okay, so it's not very many black children at the school?
I really need to look at the ratios before I speak on that.
I feel.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on anything, but in her class, like, there might be 1 or 2 other African American kids, but there are some Hispanic, Indian, like there's other minorities there, but as far as black, there's not that many.
Okay. But at least for your daughter's class, we think 3 other black children, and the school, you think majority white students at the school?
Yes, definitely majority white. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would be curious if there have been other incidents. I don't know if this substitute nurse, how often she works there, but I'd be curious if there have been other instances where there's been this sort of callous treatment towards the limited number of black students and or the other non-white students that are at the school. But that, I don't know if maybe through your publicizing all of this, maybe some folks will reach out to you and we'll get to find out.
A number of parents have reached out to me from the same school one family, it was like 3 people from one family with their incident being more recent than mine. They were actually in a meeting with the principal and nurse, the actual school nurse at this time, like the regular nurse. They saw my post while they were in the meeting, and they were like, whoa, what's going on with the school? And like they all reached out to me, telling me what was going on. Their child is, I probably should go back for a misquote, but I'm pretty sure she's autistic, nonverbal, and she has seizures. And this child became lethargic that day. They brought her to the nurse. The nurse laid her down to let her rest. Walked away from the child. I don't know for what the time period was, but when she came back to the child was non-responsive and foaming from the mouth. But they did call the ambulance for this child. And this child went, I'm pretty sure she had an overnight hospital visit. And that child had medication at the school for seizures that should have been administered when if she had a seizure for X amount of time. And that lethargicness in that child, that was her seizure. And the medicine wasn't administered to her. So and that child was African American.
Jeez, that is, I mean, I don't know. Was the substitute nurse on duty for that potential tragedy too?
No, this was the regular nurse for this situation. So it's even worse.
Wow. I mean, again, I thought the nurse's office, that's kind of important. Want someone who knows what they're doing there, take this seriously, especially if you have students who have serious medical needs, like get a chart, a file on the computer, something. Like, come on. I mean, man.
Typically in healthcare, when you have issues, that when something comes about, they implement a new protocol. But for my daughter's instance, there was a protocol. The protocol wasn't followed. So I don't even know how to correct the situation as far as my child's issue.
A note. They told you. Teacher should have sent a note. That's the correction.
Should have. Oh my gosh, that's laughable. Now that my child's here and healthy, it's laughable, but then it was a slap in the face.
Facts. Man, that is like, I don't know. Would you, after hearing what I heard with the situation with your daughter would be enough, and then hearing some of this other incident and, you know, what other parents have told you, like, has your daughter returned to school since all this? Feeling better now?
Yes.
Okay.
She has returned to school, and she's doing better. She's wearing her allergy bracelet. I've sent her with her own lunch as much as possible, but she knows she's not allowed to share anything with anybody.
Love it.
And
Love
if
it.
the teachers give any snacks or anything, they call me prior to making sure, and like they'll send me labels. Like the teachers are A1 at that school. I can't say anything bad about the teachers, but like I said, like I had her art teacher. She sent me a label of a snack before just this week. Like, hey, can she have this? I'm like, thank you so much for caring.
Amen. Wow. Did you have any thoughts about sending her back to school, or did you just think, hey?
I did. I was timid. I was worried, and her first day back was very uneasy. But each day, of course, it's uneasy just sending your kids out of your eyesight anyway. But lots and lots of prayers. I know that my children are covered, and nothing will happen to them that isn't already in His plan. So that keeps me grounded.
Wow. Man, what as a I guess putting your medical hat on for the lots of us regular parents who have no connection or understanding of the healthcare industry or medical protocols, what tips would you share with parents to keep their children safe if they're sending them to school, and then hopefully they'll have super great health and perfect attendance, so this will never be needed. But if their child should get sick at school, what would you recommend that Black parents especially tell their Black children? This is what to do if you get sick at school, and if you run into any problems or what have you, do this, this, and this. What would you encourage?
I would encourage parents to teach their children their telephone numbers. A lot of kids don't know their parents' numbers. Teach them their children their full names. A lot of kids just like, that's mom and that's dad. Your kids need to know your name. They need to know your number. As far as with the school system, show up for your kids. Everything that they have, as best you can, show up. Show your face. Let them know that you're present, you're active. Build a relationship with the teacher. Keep the lines of communication open so that teacher feels comfortable calling you about any and everything. I don't know, just be present. I know with the way the economy is, parents have to work a lot, but as much as you can get off and show up at school for events, just for lunch or whatever, but let them see your face. Let them know that you're active with your child, with their education, and that you're approachable. Like, you can call me for anything about my child. Don't hesitate. Call me, text me, email me.
That sounds like it might have been what saved your daughter's life in this instance, because the
Amen.
teacher
Amen.
who he said, I'm going to make an example of her, she was the one who, I'm going to call because something is not right. And it sounds like if you hadn't built that rapport, and I'm going to go up to the school and meet all my daughter's teachers and be an A+ mom and best school in the district, that also, maybe she's still here, maybe not. Like, wow, just go talk to your daughter's teachers. And that was really important too, because I forgot about that. Everybody has their smartphones and everything, so you just, press a button and boop, and you ask somebody, what's the number? And it's, I don't know. It's,
They don't know. They don't know. The phone knows the numbers.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers numbers anymore. You gotta remember some number. Like, one day that phone's going to be dead, or you're not going to have it, or something crazy. Like, you got to know at least one number.
Facts. Make sure you know your parents' phone number and their name. That would be very good. This is their actual name, actual phone number. If something should happen, there you go. Excellent. See, I am not a parent. Some of these things I would not know. Let's see, any of the folks who are parents, if you have a question you would like to ask our Miss Allen, Infuriated Black Mother, if you have a question you would like to ask, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound, press star 61. If you have a question, if we have any of our parents listening in have a question they would like to ask Miss Allen, star 61. Again, thank you so much in being courageous enough to share all of this, like, because that's how I found out about. I'm nowhere near South Carolina, but just reading. Did you have any reservations, or I guess what inspired you to be so public about such a traumatic event?
I think them denying my claim, because I know some people are so happy. I just want them to cover her doctor's bill. That's all I asked for. Like, it wasn't nothing crazy. And they denied the claim, stating that they acted appropriately in this situation. Like, that was the final straw. I'm like, you know what, this is crazy. And then I was trying to go about it in a quiet manner, but after that, I'm like, I'm not being quiet anymore. I didn't mention, I never mentioned the nurse's name. I didn't mention my daughter's teacher's name, because she's fearful for her job at this point, and I hate that for her, because she's an amazing teacher. But yeah, just them saying they did what they were supposed to do. I'm like, you didn't. And I need anybody and everybody that will listen to know what happened, or what could have happened to my child.
Context of White Supremacy. It is, wow. It is, I'm so thankful that she is super safe. We found out it's just pistachios, so no more of those. Yeah. No nuts, period. Absolutely.
No nuts, period.
I love it. Learned her lesson. There we go.
Yeah.
And then asking questions about all of this to, investigate why all of this happened. So I guess hopefully we can kind of follow. If you're updating and such, we can follow through the course. If this is going to go to court and all of that, We will definitely follow. Maybe because she's trying to get information on the nurse and all of it. Who is this? Like, man, I know that's at least one detail I will remember for the longest in all of this. Who is this nurse? If this goes to trial and everything, let's get her name. Do you want her working in a school district near your child? We will remember.
Everything is all final and finalized. There will definitely be an update.
We will be on the lookout, keeping an eye to South Carolina. I can't stress enough the importance. This is why, like, talk to your children about racism, white supremacy. It is so important. Proudly, unfortunately, something is going to happen eventually where you'll have to explain it to them anyway. So just make it regular part of the dialogue. I think Miss Allen said she teaches Black history anyway. Did I get that correct?
Yes, every month, every day, any time.
See there. Had you been talking to your daughter about racism before all this unfortunate?
Yes.
Okay, right on. How just for an example, how had you explained racism to your daughter prior to all of this?
We talk about things like her best friend is a white girl, and one of my very best friends is a white girl as well. So I taught her about how school was segregated at one point and how we should thank our ancestors for all the things they went through to change education as far as desegregation, so we can be friends with people that don't look like us. So that was one conversation that we had. And then she got more heavy. She was like, "What did they do to us?" And so I showed her pictures of Strange Fruit. We listened to the song. Like we go pretty deep. We started watching 12 Years a Slave, but she said turn it off, so we didn't finish that. But yeah, she likes to learn.
Young genius. I love it. They say the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. I love it. She's so inquisitive. I love it about important things. Love it. Do you have a definition of racism that you've shared with your daughter?
I don't. I don't have a clear and concise definition. I just give her different examples of it, and I remind her that nobody is better than another person because of how they look. You're a good person based on how you act. I guess that could be my definition. I don't know. I'm gonna have to revisit that one as well.
I love that too. Like the learning with your, talk about that all the time. Learning with your offspring is amazing, and you can think about it like, oh man, we talked about that last time and I left something out, so we can bring that up again. Like, yes, got one more tidbit to add in, and maybe they'll have an extra question, so we'll resume this discussion later. Like, love it. I love it. Let's make sure I didn't miss any of the folks with a question. Again, I know I will be keeping tabs on all of this, so I'll be letting our listeners know as I see updates and everything. I hope you are super successful with your suit, because I totally agree. You can give my little humble 2 cents to your husband. I am in total agreement with his rage. Like, oh my goodness. Like everything that he said, I co-sign on it all. Everything of it, like he was totally accurate, and she could have just been practicing racism, and I'm not going to help her, and she's out selling drugs and talking to an 8-year-old. Like, that's so disgraceful. Like,
trying to skip school at 8 years old. I mean, that's baffling. Like, ma'am, make it make sense.
Come on, where are we going? We're gonna skip math class. We're gonna go out to the swing set. Like, where are we going?
And the school, like, ma'am, how was she to get home if her parent went to pick her up? Call her parent like the teacher asked you to.
Come on. Silliness, man. Silliness. Oh, wait a minute. Our caller, retired firefighter in Florida. Did you have a question for Miss Allen, infuriated black mother?
Greetings, everyone. Well, if you don't mind, I just called to commend the mother and her husband on how they are raising their child and the amount of attention that they give to the child and teaching the child. Yeah, I just wanted to commend her. I've listened to most of the whole report, and you're right, Gus. To be a parent, especially non-white black parent, the second place as far as being the toughest thing ever. Second place is not even close, like you say, and but it sounds like this young lady and her husband is really, really doing the correct things, and I just wanted to commend you on it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I truly do.
Well earned. Well earned. Retired firefighter, being a parent himself, so he would know how challenging this task is, for sure. I can guess, but it looks really, really hard, and I'm thankful I have not had to mess that up at this point. Let's see. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I got to go to school and respond to all that. They would have probably got security to throw me out of the school, because they do that sometimes. If you go to the school and mouth off too much, boy, you can get in trouble.
That's why I was worried with my husband. I grabbed his arm and he looked at me. I'm like, okay, yeah, you go ahead.
I'm right there with him. I co-sign on every syllable he uttered. Incompetent and ... all the rest. I agree. 1,000. He was correct. Yeah. He was correct. Please keep us updated. I agree with retired firefighter as well on the commendation, and just keep up your outstanding and courageous work with your daughter. Give your best. Or she has multiple children, so not just that we're focused on her daughter, but best to all of your children and family. Outstanding work that you all are doing, and we will definitely be keeping our eyes on South Carolina and wishing you all the best with your suit.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you, and I thank you for having me on today. Let me share my story to make more parents aware, so hopefully, prayerfully, they don't have to go through this with their child.
Amen.
Or any family member.
Amen. Amen. Certainly not any of their children or any other family members. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this Wednesday evening, and take excellent care of yourself, the rest of the family. No nuts for anybody, and we will definitely be in touch.
Thank you. You have a wonderful evening.
You too, ma'am. Take excellent care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Context of White Supremacy. Miss Allen, infuriated black mother, and I would be, and infuriated black father with us in spirit, as I would be too. Woo. I would have never even, because I don't have children. I would have never even thought about that. Like, whoa, go talk to the nurse. That would have never popped in my brain computer. Like, I've heard that. I don't even have children, and I've heard that for years. Like, oh yeah, go to the school PTA and see your child's teachers and email them and all that, so they can see your face and know who you are and blah 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 and all that. I've heard all that forever. I've never heard, oh yeah, just swing by the nurse's office and say hi. Hopefully they'll never need to hang out there or whatever, but just swing by, see if they're competent, ask to see their credentials. Where did you go to school? Like, that would have, Nick, can you do CPR? That would have never entered my brain computer. It's there now. And when you step back, when you realize, like, oh, dang, they don't really let a whole lot of black people go to vet school. Probably not going to have a whole lot of black nurses, school nurses. This sort of thing is probably more common. That's why I said I've heard that before. It's been, I don't have children, but I, try to talk to educators, talk to people who have children, where they say at the elementary school, that's the thing. Now, if we were talking high school, I would shut up. If we were talking middle school, because that's like 13-ish or so, I would shut up. elementary school? You're talking about like 8-year-olds, people that can barely read. Like, what are you talking about? Skip school? Where are they going? You can't even ride the bus too well on your own at 8. Not, I don't even think my parents would have let me. I'm gonna skip school and do what? Where am I going? How am I gonna get home? I wouldn't even be able to enjoy not being in them. Then at 8, I don't know what kind of heathen gangs you all were in at 8 years old. I would have been terrified. Like, I'm gonna leave school and just walk and go. Where am I going? My school, I did not have no neighborhood school for most of my elementary experience. Like, it was, you needed a car. You needed a ride. Like, it is not close, like, at all. Like, man, that is a long hoof to be, man, I'm going back to class. Like, we can get something to eat. It's air conditioning inside. Like, man, I'm good. And I can get a ride to get home when this is over. Goofiness. I'm going to skip school at 8, 7, 9. Are you serious? Real talk, I don't even remember if they had like security in the lot or whatever. Why? They had security at high school. They know they might abscond. Darn tootin'. At 8. Quick commercial break, and then we will be right back. Context of White Supremacy.
Got another term on there, VGQ. What does that mean? Victims Guaranteed Qualification. Now, that keeps you from getting into arguments with other black people, particularly on television, which I get sick of that. Black people shouting. You know, we get into our ghetto thing once we get on television and get wound up. And we start all yelling at once. And the racists sit there smugly and just look. They watch the tennis match, so to speak. Right. And black people are shouting each other down, talking about, you don't know what you're talking about, and so and so and so and so, and we go into our Amos and Andy and Sapphire Act. Okay. VGQ means Victims Guaranteed Qualification. Guaranteed qualification to do what? To give your opinion on anything about race. Don't care what it is. If you're on there with Minister Farrakhan, or you on there with Mike Tyson, or you on there with Miss, what's her name, Williams, the lady that had him put in, recommended that he be put in jail, or you on there with anybody. So you don't cut the other black person down. Now, I don't even like that term brother and sister, even though it's been around for about 30 years. Well, I ain't going to talk about the brother here, no. See, we haven't reached that stage where we can do that. See, we got to crawl before we walk, but we don't miss any steps. Don't say you are what you're not. Don't say you feel something that you don't really feel. You don't really feel that he's a brother. I usually use the expression, I don't like anybody in here. I say that to all audiences. I haven't been taught to like anybody. I've been taught to dislike people. Been taught that. Right. And then they're taught to dislike me, so it's just compounded disliking. Haven't even got to love yet. All right. So what we do is minimize conflict, try not to hurt each other. So a certain thing, that's what a code is for. It's a stopgap. It keeps me from saying something against you. You say, well, don't you agree with what this person just said down here on the other end and whatnot? That person has VGQ, Mr. Donahue. I keep using him because he's one of the most prominent TV people. Right. But the main thing you do is try to stay off of a radio program or TV program or even a neighborhood stage program, you might say, where you spend your time shouting back and forth at other black people. Nothing is getting done there. And when it's done on television, a lot of black people just get up from the TV set and go on in the kitchen somewhere. once that shouting starts. Yeah, they get disgusted. They say, oh, here we go. They started off okay, but now they're doing a job on each other, and I don't even want to hear it. So just don't do it. And you cut it off. The cutoff point is that person has victims guaranteed qualification. You spell it out what it means. Meaning the person can say anything about race that they want to, and I can say anything about it that I want to. You are guaranteed that. You earn that as a victim. Simply by being a victim. Now, if a white person says something, that's something else.
That is right. If a white person says something, totally different response. They do not get BGQ. We will be here tomorrow, neutralizing workplace racism, and then on Friday, Catherine Massey Book Club, the new Jim Crow, 4th worst book I've ever read. And then our counter-racist weekly review on Saturday. Invest if you think the cows is constructive. Hit the blog racism-notes.blogspot.com, racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button in the top right corner. You'll see the links for PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. The Cash App address cash.app/$the cows. Much obliged to all the folks who've invested, kept us on the air for 17 plus years. That's it. I did want to point out, I thought that was so wild where she was talking about some of the folks in the comments, white people, who said that they were empathizing with Miss Allen's post about her daughter nearly dying at the school. I said, man, I was there with you, my black sister. I was feeling your pain, your daughters. Oh, but then you, Johnny Cochran, you played the race card. What? They got, one, if you thought there was something incorrect about this, and because I mentioned racism, now it's, oh no, I was going to support this, and no. Something about that also seems massively incorrect. Almost seems to suggest that the bigger problem is mentioning racism, white supremacy. People classified as white often function and sometimes say that explicitly. The big deal, don't talk about racism. Certainly don't label any white person as racist. But anyway, they have so much data about that. Like I said, it comes up every football season. Since we're talking about Clemson, it comes up every football season where they talk about, oh man, all the niggers that run around and get all kinds of brain damage and mess up their knees and eyeballs and everything else playing the old tackle football. I say, oh man, when they come in and say, ooh, I got an ouch, and ooh, my brain hurts, and all the rest of it, oh, you tough, get out there, Leroy. It's not, you don't need it. Get out there. They say if a white person comes in and they get all kinds of drugs in it, and they say, now, that's why we ended up with all the opioids and all the white people acting wacky, going to jail. Not so much with the black people. They say that's a big part of it. They just nigger in pain. What? Stop lying, Leroy. Oh, shiftless, trying not to go. Get off the welfare and go work, Leroy. Says brainer. You don't even have a brain. Get out of here. That sort of thing. They got J. Marion Sims. I keep mentioning him because this is not no yesterday. This is like 200, 300 years of white culture saying this. Niggers don't feel pain. Doctors aren't for niggers. The Negro is hardy or whatever. All these different lies that they got. And they get people like J. Marion Sims, who they say is the father of gynecology, experimenting on niggers. Harriet A. Washington, she got a whole chapter in Medical Apartheid on J. Marion Sims, and then we read the biography. It's kind of a dual biography on, say, Anarcha, the white author. He was a guest on the program, I think, the end of 2024, but that's got lots of great information. It's like a dual biography on some of the black slaves who were experimental subjects in South Carolina, and then J. Marion Sims as well, who is kind of a lame race soldier. Anyway, but the importance of talking to your children on, you can explain this, what I just said, that whole context. If the young lady who thankfully pulled through on all of this, and, nut allergies, right? That's a big problem. But the bigger problem, the system of white supremacy, racism, I would explain that. You don't have to go, like, say Anarcha is a big 600-page book. Certainly you don't need to give that to a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old. But we could, if we're in South Carolina, we could go to that statue. We could easily do a report, and they probably got all kinds of goodies right there in South Carolina. You could explain all of this easily and on an age-appropriate level. You don't need to be gory about it, but just simply, there is a long history of racists who say that they're doctors. They don't heal black people. They practice racism against black people, sometimes while they are pretending to be a doctor, a healthcare practitioner, pretending or lying. Sometimes they swango you. They're not even a doctor. I'm just a racist in a white lab coat. Stethoscope in my pocket. I can't even spell it. But I would explain this if I had offspring. I'm glad he don't. But I would explain this so that they can then put their experience within a greater context, so that this is not some isolated event. Oh no, even locally, she said other black parents contacted her and said, "Oh my God, did you hear what she said about the autistic young black student? Sound like he could have died too. They could have had 2 fatalities at the same school, both black, and it ain't that many black children at the school." She said it was 3. Now, we didn't get an exact number, and I appreciate that. Strive for accuracy. I super appreciate that. But she did say, she put a number on it. She said, Miss Allen, she said it was 3 black children in her daughter's class. She said it was a few other non-white students, not black, so-called Hispanic. I think she said Mexican, Indian. That was the other one she said. But she said it was mostly white. She's the best school in the district. That's almost synonymous with mostly white. That right there. How 2 different black students sound like they could have had fatal experiences in a school that sounds like it might not even have that many black children. System of white supremacy. Even that came to mind. Like, man, now I don't know the demographics. Like I said, we didn't get precise on it, but wow, if you are a parent trying to pick, that school for my child so I can hopefully give them the best chance to have a great life, do a lot of great things, and hope to replace white supremacy with justice. So we pick a school, and what's the best school in the area? If the best school in the area has a low percentage of black students, do you still pick that school? And I think most, get that school. They got the resources, best teachers, and new technology and all that. They'll have security in the parking lot so students don't skip school. That's what you'd be thinking. System of white supremacy racism. Whew. And I mean, it's almost like you can't win. It's like, well, you could take the worst school that's probably got 95% black people, and they have no air conditioning and 1 computer that's broken, 2 desks that 30 students have to share. Like, you could take that one. Okay, they get all the teachers that just graduated and have no experience. You could take that one and do your best with that. Or You go to the white school, no black students, and, hope they don't serve your child a peanut butter sandwich and then let her die in the nurse's office. Bad choices abound in the system of white supremacy. I do commend her for talking to her child honestly, and even that is so important, the revisit and even the acknowledge, either I didn't know, you asked me something, I just have to concede I don't know. I will investigate and report back, and then we can revisit. You asked me about such and such. At that time, you asked me about a definition of racism. I didn't have one. I do now. The revisit. Love it. Or you gave them information. You've learned more since we spoke the last time. You say, hey, I can add on. Or I forgot. We spoke last time and I gave you 3 or 4 points. There were 2 that I forgot. And giving that information as well. But that is very important, especially when discussing the system of white supremacy. Be honest and revisit often, especially, and she said her child, I thought that was so important. She didn't say she came out of this, got her child, nursed her back to health and everything. Them racist crackers at the school, and they just like Benjamin. That's not what happened. She said her child asked, did the nurse, did she behave like this because I'm black? Just don't lie. The brain computer works. They can process. I got eyes. I can see. You in South Carolina, oof, I wouldn't care if she said she could have said she was 5'4". I'm born in South Carolina. I can see. We done drove past that Strom Thurmond statue about 15,000 times already. Like, I got a pretty good idea what it is. Just don't lie to me, man. Just don't lie to me. Mom, don't lie to me. And Miss Allen did not. Sounds like her dad didn't either. Mad about it too, which I love. Co-sign on all that. Could have killed her. Co-sign on all that. Man. But don't lie. Like, that is so even connected with what I said yesterday. The reason this young lady could have died, the system of white supremacy, we have not been on our assignment, non-white people, at all. We have totally failed this young lady. She shouldn't have to go. We should have solved this problem. We should have solved the problem a long time ago. And the evidence shows we could have. White people think we could have. They wouldn't be peeping on Dr. Welsing at 19 if they thought we were dumb and retarded and they just going to be a nuisance and shooting each other, playing video games and getting brain damage for the Tigers. That's about the best they can do. If that were true, why you peeping on Dr. Welsing at 19? We ain't been on our assignment. So, apologies to this young lady. Hopefully we can get that corrected. Hey, she might be a part of solving this problem. That might even be the way that race soldiers, like this nurse, we think, might be the way that they operate. Looking at this especially if this little child's brain computer is so brilliant and active as she's asking those types of questions, racist logic very well may be. That is another attempted counter-racist who might solve this problem. Oh no, I'm not going to help her. That this might be the one to figure out the problem. You wheeze all day long. You might have that sort of thinking exactly. Disregard for black life in general, and then especially your brain computer might work. You might develop. You got some potential, some smarts going for you. That's one to think about when you pick schools too. Like I said, maybe easy stroll over by the nurse's office. Just say hi, how you doing? Hopefully won't have to come by here at all. We'll have a clean bill of health, and maybe come by to get a Band-Aid or something small, But just want to say hi, check you out. What credentials? What school did you go to? By the way, just slip it in. A few innocent questions. Just see. Okay, okay. Anything happens with my child, feel free to give me a call. You eye them up pretty good, but I would have never thought of that. Go by the nurse's office at your school. Any hoodles. Let's see. Much obliged, our young lady, for making me aware of Miss Allen's work, her work, and then this traumatic event with her elementary school daughter. Retired firefighter, did you have any closing thoughts, comments you wanted to make sure you got in? Might be muted if you had something to share.
Yeah, I had it on mute. I was just impressed, about based on your questions and her commenting on the emergency that her child was in, and some of the things that she was doing or did to make things better for her child. It's to be commended because the children, they rely upon the parents. They may not be able to articulate it, but I'm still young enough to remember how comfortable I felt as a child, because my mother, she may not have been physically always in my presence, but because of her care and how she raised her 5 children, you always sensed her being there, and she sounds very similar. She sounds very similar to that, so that's about in this world. That's about the best you can do as a parent in this world, especially as a non-white person that's racially classified as black. And so, good program. Thank you.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. Commendation well earned for our guest, Miss Allen, infuriated black mother, who, she, as I've heard Mr. Fuller say, is crazy about her children. She doesn't just have her daughter, but crazy about her children, as she should be. And I cannot emphasize enough, this is why speak to your children honestly about racism. Hopefully, it won't be something traumatic like this where, oh my goodness, we got to go, to the hospital, that type of thing. Hopefully it'll be something benign, maybe as benign as things can be in the system of white supremacy, but something trivial where it'll just be a mild learning event, and you can share, discuss, decode the system of white supremacy as opposed to something really catastrophic like this. But talk to your children. I can't say enough too. Talk about your own experience. You see, her Miss Allen, when she was talking about her nursing experience and the racism from the patients, age appropriate for sure. Certain things that I would say to a 15-year-old that I would not say to an 8-year-old. So certainly age appropriate. But you can talk to your children. We should talk to our children about work experience, how white people have treated us on the job, school experience. These are just, basic things that I won't say all, but most of us have one, if not both, of these specific experiences, and I'm sure racism was a large component of both. Talk about that. Details, all that. You can put names on it because you're just talking to your child. That way they can have a better understanding how racism has impacted them, the family, you specifically, what we even mean. I did ask her about that definition for racism. She didn't have a definition, which is not a crime. I'm just illustrating that consistently when white people say, black people, we are experts on racism, that can't be. Most of us don't even have a definition of racism. I humbly submit, you cannot be an expert on any concept that you cannot define. I don't think I'm saying anything too radical, but I mean, come on. You can have an opinion, but expert? You can't even explain what you're talking about. You're not an expert, not even close. We, black people, we are not the experts on racism. Not even close. If I can't, I did want to do my South Carolina parallel. Dr. Welsing talks about contrast programming. So this young lady, black female, she could have died easily. Peanut allergy, and the nurse said, you out here faking and gold bricking. Get back to class. Go learn something, moocher. Old Dilly Roof, he done shot up 9 people in the church. Chadwick Boseman said he was coming back to visit during this time. They got Klan rallies at the Walmart. All this, pardon. All this taking place in 2015. Old Dilly Roof, when he gets, God, should have got my drink. Old Dilly Roof, when he gets arrested for killing those 9 worshipers, Charleston 9, Mother Emanuel AME Church, they didn't look at old Dilly and say, you faking, ain't you? You trying to pull a slick one. Steal our gun, maybe think you can steal a car and get I'm hungry. I'm famished. My tummy hurt. They got some slop in the hoosgow. We'll get you a crust of bread after we get you fingerprinted. That's not what they did. You hungry, dear? Is that your stomach growling? Let's get you a cheeseburger right quick. You short on cash? Don't even worry about it, my sick white brother. We get you a cheeseburger. You want extra cheese? We get you a cheeseburger. Just look at that. Dill, he went and killed 9 black people. We still respect your humanity and biological needs. Her child couldn't breathe. Beat it. Beat it. 8-year-old child. I can't breathe. Beat it. Out here trying to pull something slick, ain't you? I see that. I know what you're up to. Get back to class. Like that. They didn't get her no Happy Meal. White man killed 9 black people in a church. They bought him dinner. Said he was hungry. Black child said, I can't breathe. Beat it. As a matter of fact, who called your mother? It was you? You, the teacher? You done went over the nurse's head? We gonna make an example out of you. Dang. Wow. System of white supremacy. And that I would process all of that before you have children. Go visit the schools in your district, like, especially if you think we're not, nomads. We intend on, as they say, planting some roots and being in this general region, for a few years, maybe a decade or two. Let's go inspect properties, noise, pollution, all of that. Is this a place that we want to hang out for that time period? And what are the schools like? What are the school nurses like? Lots to consider if you have offspring. We'll do it up Thursday, neutralizing workplace racism. Friday, Catherine Massey Book Club, audio segment 3. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy. We need all our... Man, think about that. You get a call in the middle of the day from your child. I can't breathe. And the nurses think I'm faking so that I can skip school, skip elementary school. Now, I'm sure it's a lot of ways that you can respond to that call, but none of them that I can think of would be improved by you being inebriated. At least unless I'm confused in my processing currently. But just with all of the dangers that we experience, known and unknown, we need high-functioning brain computers to solve our problems. Dare I say, metaphor, stay on alert. I didn't even need the metaphor I was going to use, so that we can stay on alert about the dangers that are literally suffocating us in the system of white supremacy. Creator, it has been time. Remind us. Stop saying not all white people are racist. She did when I asked, I thought that was so pertinent. When I asked about, did she have a definition for racism? She talked about she has a white friend, girlfriend, and her daughter has a white friend, female friend. Both of them female friends. I said, wow, that's fascinating. Wow. I do not encourage white friends. What does it mean to be white? Stop name calling people classified as black. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.